Dear students, welcome to the session. In this session, we will discuss on subsurface exploration. In continuation to the previous class, we'll see what do you mean by subsurface exploration and how much depth we should dig for the trial pit or for the borehole and what are the different methods, etc. Okay. Now, what do you mean by subsurface exploration? This subsurface exploration is carried out after site investigation. In the previous class, we have discussed what do you mean by ground investigation and site investigation and what is the difference between those two. So this subsurface exploration is carried out after site investigation in order to know the type of soil, location of groundwater table and or test pits made, the stratification and the boring. Based on the test pit or initial boring results, further investigation is done. As we know, before starting any project, it is mandatory to conduct ground investigation or site investigation. As the process of this investigation, this subsurface exploration has to be carried out. If you see here, the trial pit and this is for drill rig. For the borehole, it should be minimum 75 mm dia and 10 to 30 meters depth. And for the trial pit, 1 to 2 meter width and 2 to 4 meter depth. Now, we'll see what are the different methods to do this subsurface exploration. There are two methods, the direct method and indirect method. The name itself gives some idea what do you mean by direct method and indirect method. It's very simple to identify. The direct method is nothing but this is the method in which it is directly contact with the ground. If you see, the simplest method is the use of auger, light percussion drilling, a rotary coring or rock probing. These are the different methods under direct method which are directly contact with the ground. In the indirect method, geophysical surveys, electromagnetic, GPR, electrical surveys, magnetic surveys, gravity surveys, seismic surveys. So these are indirect methods in which there is no need to be direct contact with the ground. If you see the electrical surveys and magnetic surveys and gravity surveys, these are, if you see electrical surveys, it's applied successfully to mineral exploration, and magnetic surveys are used to record the deformations of the earth magnetic field. Gravity surveys is used to record minute variations in earth gravitational force. These are surveys done using equipments to find out what is happening inside the earth. Like to know about the earth magnetic field, we do the magnetic surveys. It is no need to dig or excavate anything. Just using the equipment, we can find out the magnetic field, the earth magnetic field using the magnetic survey. Similarly, we can record minute variations in earth gravitational force using the gravity surveys. So the next topic is geohazard. Ground subsidence. What do you mean by ground subsidence? Ground subsidence is a removal of underground fluids, natural consolidation or dissolution of underground minerals or by man-made phenomena due to downward displacement of surface material. This geohazard of potential ground subsidence are salt subsidence, which occurs in rock salt. Collapsible soil hydrocompaction occurs in fine soil. Gypsum solution occurs in gypsum. Natural caves common in limestone. Subsidence on peat, settlement of peat. Earthquake liquefaction occurs in sand. So these are potential ground subsidence of geohazard. Next, rock excavation. How do the rock excavation done? There are different methods of excavation, like direct excavation. This is done with the help of face shovel or backhoe, clamshell grab or dragline for fractured rock. Ripping. This is done with the help of tractor mounted ripper kind of machineries. Blasting. This is done using with the help of explosives like black powder or gunpowder, dynamite, etc. For the lesser, stronger and less fractured rock. These are the different methods of excavation. Depends upon the situation, the type of method is executed. Next, the topic is tunnels in the rock. Tunnel excavation methods, drill and blast, can be done for all types of rocks. Road header, tunnel boring machine. See, if you see the tunnel boring machine which is used in tunnels that are longer than 1 kilometer and includes self-clearing system. So these are the different methods of tunnel excavation. Next, boundary hazards. As we know, earthquake is formed when two plates move sideways against each other at a transform plate boundary. There is a tremendous amount of friction which makes the movement jerky. The plates slip, then stick as the friction and pressure build to the incredible levels. There is nothing but when two plates move sideways against each other, there is a tremendous amount of friction which leads to a jerk is called an earthquake on the surface of the earth. So this is about the earthquake, and the next topic, groundwater investigation. Groundwater investigation is to know the precipitation which is dispersed in three ways: evapotranspiration, runoff, infiltration. Evapotranspiration, the name itself it indicates evaporation and transpiration. What do you mean by evaporation and what do you mean by transpiration? If you see here, evapotranspiration is the combination of evaporation from open water and transpiration from plants, both returning water to the atmosphere. In temperature climates, it may vary from 20% of the rainfall on open hills to 70% from wooded lowlands. See here, I would like to explain you in detail. Evapotranspiration is nothing but it's a combination of evaporation and transpiration. Evaporation and transpiration are both are same, which leads to precipitation. But evaporation is formed from open water and transpiration from plants. The combination of these two is called evapotranspiration. Runoff. Surface water which flows into streams and rivers is called runoff. In better understanding words, when rain falls on the ground, water starts percolate into the earth up to some extent, and the remaining water starts flowing on the surface, which is called runoff. The flowing water on the earth into streams and rivers is called runoff. And infiltration. The flow of water from the ground surface into the ground is called infiltration. Once infiltrated, the water becomes soil moisture or groundwater. Therefore, infiltration may also be referred to as seepage, as water seeps through the ground to become groundwater. I hope you understand the definition of infiltration. Infiltration is nothing but is the flow of water from the ground surface into the ground is called infiltration. Groundwater table, which is also known as phreatic surface. Groundwater table, which lies inside the ground, inside the earth, the above soil which is the soil which is present above the groundwater table is called unsaturated zone, and the soil which is present below the water table is called saturated zone. Vadose zone, also called unsaturated, which is the portion of subsurface above the groundwater table, and saturated is below the groundwater table. And groundwater bearing strata, and if you see here the words, the terms aquiclude, aquithird, aquifer, these are some interesting terms and which are very important. The term aquifer is the term given to the rock or soil mass that not only contains water but from which water can be extracted readily in significant quantities. The ability of an aquifer is to transmit water by its permeability. Indeed, the permeability of aquifer usually is in excess of 10 to the power of minus 5 meter per second. And see here, for example, clays and shale are aquiclude. We know what is the purpose of the clay. Clay is rich in plasticity. It means these rocks are saturated. They tend to impede the flow of water through stratus sequence. Aquithird is a formation that transmits water at very slow rate. Sandy soils provides an example. Aquifer, on the other hand, is an impermeable rock with no voids. Example, granite. There are two types of aquifer, unconfined aquifer and confined aquifer. If you see the picture here, this is the unconfined aquifer and this is the confined aquifer. This is the ground surface and this is the water table. If you see here, both the aquifer which is present below the water table, if you see the picture, you can understand much better. A confined aquifer is one that is overlain by impermeable rocks. And the next topic is porosity and permeability. Porosity and permeability are the two most important factors governing the accumulation. In general, porosity and permeability definitions are both are same but not exactly. If you see the definition here, porosity is denoted by N, which is defined as percentage pores space within a given volume. Total volume divided VV by V, where VV is the volume of voids and V is the total volume. And permeability is defined as ability of soil or rock to allow the passage of fluids into it. And the last topic of today's session is hydrologic cycle. If you see this chart, if you see this diagram, you can understand. See, these are the plants which leads to the transpiration, and from the water it leads to the evaporation, and the combination of both evaporation and transpiration is called evapotranspiration, and which leads to the condensation and then forms into the precipitation called rain. See, this is a cycle which is called hydrologic cycle. I hope this session is clear and you understand the concept of various topics. Thank you all.